On 23rd December 2025, 2 people were killed and 45 others were injured during violent protests in Assam. These protests erupted out of an alleged violation of tribal lands during an encroachment drive in West Karbi Anglong. Police have said that several houses, shops and public properties were vandalized or torched in parts of Karbi and nearby areas as the situation appeared to spiral out of control. Hello and welcome to Deep Dive on NewsX with me, Shivani Singh. Today we take a look at how a normal encroachment drive turned into one of the most horrific protests in the district of Karbi Anglong. As protests escalated, the ancestral residence of Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council Chief Tuliram Ronghang was set on fire by protesters. 4 people were injured in police firing on protesters who were actually on this rampage. They set ablaze the residence of Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council Chief Executive Member Tuliram Ronghang and around 15 shops in Karbi Bazaar. Now, Tuliram described the unrest as the result of a misunderstanding and appealed for calm, insisting that the crisis could still be resolved through dialogue. Ronghang said that he was on his way to meet the agitating groups for talks when he received news of the arson attack. The house, he said, was targeted after rumors spread that hunger-striking protesters had been arrested. Now that we have seen the scale of these protests, let's take a deep dive into what these protesters are actually demanding. Their core demand is the eviction of alleged illegal encroachers, often described as non-tribal settlers, including those from Hindi-speaking communities. These lands are constitutionally safeguarded under the 6th Schedule to protect tribal rights and prevent alienation of indigenous territories. Protesters argue that encroachments threaten Karbi land rights and demographic balance in the Autonomous Council area, which is governed by the Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council. So what exactly are these demands? Number 1, immediate eviction of alleged illegal encroachers from village grazing reserves and professional grazing reserved lands in Karbi Anglong and West Karbi Anglong districts. Implementation of long pending eviction notices. This is number 2, their demand, issued by the Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council in 2024, which have been delayed due to legal challenges. And number 3, protection of tribal land rights, demographic balance, and the existence of the Karbi community in the Autonomous Council area. The Assam Home and Political Department said that internet services were suspended to prevent the spread of rumors and inflammatory content, while allowing voice calls and fixed line broadband to remain functional. Internet services in both Karbi Anglong and West Anglong districts were temporarily suspended on Tuesday for maintaining peace and tranquility and to prevent any deterioration of the present situation. Inspector General of Police, Law and Order Akhilesh Kumar Singh said that peaceful talks were underway and urged people to pursue grievances through legal means, warning against taking the law into their own hands. Let's in fact listen in to the Assam DGP.
कल रात से या कल दिन से ये भीड़ इकट्ठी है। कल दोपहर में मैं आ गया था, लेट आफ्टरनून, और अकेला, आप लोग ने देखा, सब प्रेस ने देखा, पूरी पब्लिक ने देखा, अकेला मैं प्रोटेस्टर्स के बीच में गया विदाउट एनी प्रोटेक्शन, विदाउट एनीबडी एल्स। मैंने रात भर उनसे बात की, दे अग्रीड, एंड टुडे लास्ट नाइट देन देयर लीडर was brought from Guwahati. He had only been taken for a medical checkup because the doctor felt that the people on hunger strike, that health is deteriorating. But somebody spread a misinformation फैलाया गया कि उनको अरेस्ट किया गया है। और जिस टाइप का ये प्रोटेस्ट था, इतने लोग इकट्ठे हुए, फिर भी कल से हम लोग रिस्ट्रेंट पे थे, आज भी हम रिस्ट्रेंट रहे। कल उन्होंने ब्रिज टेक ओवर कर लिया था, फिर बातचीत करके कल ब्रिज खाली करवाया, फिर
Meanwhile, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma said that he was closely monitoring the situation, announced the deployment of additional security forces and expressed condolences to the families of those killed. This agitation underscores a long-standing land dispute in the 6th Schedule Hill District, with protesters alleging encroachment on over 7,184 acres of protected land, an issue complicated by the ongoing cases in the Guwahati High Court, which has stayed previous eviction drives. So let's take this discussion forward and let's understand what is actually happening over there. Joining us on this discussion is Gaurav Gautam, political analyst, Major General Sudhakarji, senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert, and Gautam Mukherjee, a senior journalist. I thank you all for joining us on the broadcast to discuss this very serious issue. Appreciate your time. If I can go across to Major General Sudhakarji first. Sir, there are a lot of sections over here that believe that the current situation that is prevailing in Karbi Anglong right now is a serious threat to the indigenous existence and social harmony that is currently prevailing in Assam. Do you also believe that this is the case?
Yes, Shivani, good evening. Thank you for getting me for your show. It's indeed a serious threat, in my opinion. What I wish to highlight is that it is a tribal issue, and the entire Northeast, by and large, is characterized by tribal and non-tribal issues. And Imphal or Manipur is not far away. It is this Karbi Anglong district has, we don't have the latest census report, but going by 2011, roughly around 9+ lakhs of population, out of which Karbis were around 5.1 lakh, but the current population is much higher. And the fact remains that if you roughly carry out the calculation, it comes to around 53-54% of the total population are Karbis, the indigenous population. But people actually allege that because of encroachment, because of the non-Karbis, that is the Hindi-speaking people from Bihar, UP and elsewhere, they have come in, and also reportedly there are large number of Bengalis who are there in the forested areas. They have been denying the fundamental basic livelihood rights of the local population. And there have been serious attempts by the ruling dispensation from time to time to evict these people. And however, to the best of my understanding and knowledge, there is a legal binding clause which government has to actually abide with, and that is the High Court of Assam has passed an order against the eviction of these non-tribal people. So this is actually a kind of a thing which draws very close parallel with what happened in Manipur in Imphal Valley between Maitai and Kukis. And we have people from different tribes in this area. We have Dimas, we have Karvis, we have Kukis, we have Rengmas, Nagas, Garos, all kinds of people. So gradually, if you see that, it makes a kind of a very heady cocktail which is charged with potential flare-ups and challenges in times ahead, unless it is dealt in a very, very deft manner by security apparatus and in terms of short, medium and long term. What I wish to highlight is that more than anything else, the biggest problem, because this is that area through which you have a railway line, through national highway, Dimapur also comes in between, and you have the Kachar district also adjoining. And see, besides being forested, the area actually lacks developmental activities, And although there is an autonomous council, Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, the biggest challenge is that of the grazing grounds. Like you alluded to in your question, is the professional grazing grounds and the village grazing grounds, and these are the traditional occupational entitlements of the indigenous population, and which has been by and by being encroached upon by people who are non-tribal, and therefore there is a distinction rising between the two, and this may lead to very serious flare-ups some time ahead. And this also has been in the past. Incidentally, Karbi Anglong from time to time has been the hotbed and sanctuary of the insurgents camping in these areas. In the past, there have been successful military operations to actually sanitize the entire area, and presently, I would say to large an extent, their presence has been totally eliminated from this complete area, but district of Karbi Anglong. So therefore, the sum total of what I am saying is there is a requirement to look at the challenge in a time spectrum of short, medium, and long term at different levels at the national level, because the nation must come in at this point. Mere High Court order is not good enough to give redressal to the people, because like the tribal people are protesting, they have the non-tribal people who are also up in arms. They have swords and iron rods and sticks in the hands and protesting from time to time. So how do you resolve the issue? Do you factor their aspiration and also demands into consideration? If yes, then how do you do it? So there is a constitutional obligation. There is also an obligation to be fulfilled and implemented on the ground level. So without these non-tribal people, the tribal people are also cannot survive, because they are dependent on the commercial activities of the non-tribal people who all are from outside the states, who have come in and settled for past several years. It is not last night or last couple of months or so. Past 40-50 years they have been there. Because of them that the commercial activities are going on. The lifeline of survival and livelihood also is being ensured by these people. But the tribal people feel that much of the share of their entitlements are being stolen, particularly the employment opportunities are far and few. They are also gradually being invaded by the non-tribal people. So that is raising a huge question mark, and therefore it is a potential flashpoint, and flare-up may take place in future much more seriously than what has been witnessed. Back to you, please.
Absolutely. In fact, Gautam Mukherjee, if I can rope you into this discussion, we just heard the DGP over there. He made a statement that there are some youths that have been misguided. He's talking about some kind of external influence. Do you also believe that this is a case of external influence, or this is, a spontaneous outburst because of their long pending demands that these people have been making? We saw the people from the Karbi community, they have been protesting since the past 15 days. They are on hunger strikes as well, some of the members of the community. So do you think this is long been simmering and now it's finally out in the open?
Yes, Shivani, that's exactly what I think. I think the tribals have a very strong case and they've been ignored for too long. There is a lobby of better heeled people from elsewhere in India, while, under the Constitution, people are free to move from one state to another as long as they're Indian citizens. If there are reserved lands and forest lands where nobody is meant to live, then I think the tribals have every point to have these people evicted, and to put a stay on it via the High Court is just letting a bad situation get worse. And I do believe that the Assam government should move all the non-tribal people out of tribal land. They can stay in the marketplace and conduct their business, but they have to go and live elsewhere. They cannot possibly occupy lands which are designated for the tribals. So I think they have a very strong point there. In addition, quite a few of these people are Bangladeshis. They're not Bengali speaking Indians as many as they are Bangladeshis. Now, if they're Bangladeshis, they should be summarily identified and evicted, or at least put in a holding pen until they are evicted, but removed from the tribal lands in any case. I don't think this needs to be turned into a conundrum of legalese, because that will not help and the violence will escalate. And I don't think a dynamic chief minister like Sarma is going to allow that.
Absolutely. If I can also rope in Gaurav Gautam, who is joining us on the broadcast as well. He's a political analyst. So when you look at this entire situation, we are seeing that, the state is involved, because there are police personnel on the ground, military is being roped in to make sure that there is peace. We also know that the judiciary is involved, because we have some stays that the Guwahati High Court has put in place against eviction. But in the end, the land that we are talking about, sir, it all falls under the jurisdiction of one party alone, under the KAC. So it belongs to the Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council. When so many stakeholders are coming and getting involved on something that does not fall under their purview, do you think that is also, kind of muddying the entire situation?
I guess there's a yeah. Pardon, Shivani.
Can you hear us, sir? All right, I believe there's some issue with the connection over there, but let me take that question across to Major General Sudhakar ji. Sir, do you believe that there are too many parties and too many stakeholders involved now? The land belongs to the KAC. They should be dealing with whatever is happening, but the state is involved, the judiciary is involved now, everyone else is also talking about it. Do you think that has led to this escalation?
Shabani, willy-nilly, I would say straight answer to your question is yes, but it is not that simple. It has to be understood in totality. You see, whichever states, there are 4 or 5 states where the 6th schedule is applicable. When you have an autonomous council, the autonomous council is generally structured to have a judiciary, legislature entitlement, as also developmental attributes of the structures. So when you have these things, the judiciary willy-nilly, whatever High Court says, they also have to implement the same, and the participation. There is a percentage of participation of all stakeholders. This is how it is supposed to constitute the organs of the autonomous council. Even though they may be multi-party, the multi-parties are like we had a Bodo Autonomous Council. I myself happened to be there at that point in time when I was serving in the Indian Army. At great difficulty, we could actually start. Not that the Bodo Autonomous Council has addressed all the issues, challenges squarely and boldly. There are thriving problems, but the Autonomous Council is supposed to factor in and take all multiple stakeholders into account when you wish to have participation, public participation. If that is not being done, if some of the components are being ignored, then it is the responsibility, it is the problem of the Autonomous Council. What I visualize is, like the question you had framed, I don't want to sound like an alarmist. For everything happening in India today, you must look at it with suspicion. No security issue to be studied in isolation. When you join the dots around, call it Bangladesh or Siliguri corridor or Manipur, and the things are hotting up at times off and on, in fits and starts in Nagaland, so in Assam, China is staking claim to Arunachal Pradesh. When you look at all these in a holistic manner, the Bay of Bengal is hotting up, strategic rivalry is rising by the day, then if you join the dots, there is a bigger picture which is emerging. And that bigger picture is actually essentially there is something related to global level, something related to regional level, and something related to a local level. We, unfortunately, in our mainstream media and the national level, whatever we look at, we always, rush to the tribal issues, non-tribal issues, but there is a bigger angle which is at play. That bigger angle is the strategic rivalry between China and USA. When I say China and USA, each one is trying to push back the other. America, for good reasons, although it is a declining power, they have tried to restore status quo ante as far as the dominance is concerned, because China is coming in a big way, whether you talk about Myanmar or talk about Bangladesh or the Bay of Bengal. So USA, despite its challenges and a declining status, it is also trying to come in some form or the other and trying to restore its footprint and dominance.
Okay.
In doing so, there are two things, very important things happening. Is it the tribal people or the indigenous population willy-nilly become the victim of all activities when these two strategic rivals are actually, contesting
Right.
against each other. Number two that is happening is, the state level loses its supremacy of its command, control and coordination and developmental activities. Therefore, there is a need to look at it in a holistic manner.
Right.
The nation has to come in a significant
Okay,
manner.
sorry
that-
to interrupt you, sir. Let me also get in Gaurav Gautam before we wrap up this show. Gaurav Gautam, your views on this?
Shivani, let's understand that whatever happened in Karbi Anglong specifically, the violence part of it is extremely unfortunate. But then we have to also keep in mind that Karbi Anglong has operated under the 6th schedule since 1951-52, and it is one of India's most oldest autonomous tribal regions. Now, what is 6th schedule? It's a constitutional framework designed to protect tribal communities in India's northeast by granting them self-governance rights. So we have 6th schedule implemented in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Specifically, when Karbi community people they work through the Autonomous District Council led by Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council Chief Tuliram Ronghang, when they were protesting against the fact that non-tribal people had encroached their land. So at that moment, things flared up, and they were protesting in Khairani, and they were protesting against the incidents in Khairani and Haurakat. These are places in Karbi Anglong. So when they were protesting, things flared up, and they eventually broke into the residence. They
All right, there still seems to be an issue with the connection over there, but we got the gist of your points, and I would like to thank all my guests for joining us on the broadcast and discussing this very pertinent issue. Thank you so much for joining us.